Hello YouTube, my name is Sovrakha, and I'm here to show you guys some of the basics to Ascension. I know a lot of people still have no idea what Ascension is, so I thought I'd put together a little basic video showing you guys some of the minimum requirements that you'd need and some of the more recommended gear to start making you about 4 to 5 mil an hour. So, alright, let's get started. Okay, so for the minimum requirements, you're going to need at least 81 Slayer. And for the recommended requirements, you're going to want at least 80 range, 80 defense, 68 or 80 summoning, 68 for the Bunyip, or 88 for the Unicorn Stallion, at least 37 prayer so that you can protect from mage, or 92 prayer if you'd like to use soul split instead. 70 agility comes in really handy if you want to use the bridge to get to my favorite spot that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. But it's not needed because you can take the long way, which only takes maybe another 20 seconds or so to get there. And 92 Herblore for extreme ranging potions, but I don't really recommend using extreme ranging potions or even super ranging potions for that matter, just because of how pricey they are. In this guide I'm trying to help you guys make money without spending a lot to begin with. The beginning of this guide is going to focus on more lower tier gear if you can't afford a lot to begin with, and once you start doing a couple Ascension trips, you're going to be able to afford a lot more high-level gear, so that's pretty nice. So here you see my recommended low-level gear, and I'm just going to read them off for you and give a little explanation on some of the choices I've put here. So for your head slot, you can use a God Coif of your choice, really, doesn't matter. I'm going to use Zamorak because that's what I like. For your neck slot, an Amulet of Glory. For your cape slot, you could use a skill cape. Most people have at least 199 now, be it fire making or fletching or something, so use a skill cape if you have it. Or an Ava's Alerter if you don't have a skill cape but you've done the Do No Evil quest. If not, then it's really your choice on what cape that you would like to use. But for your arrows or bolt slot, I'd use a bolt rack if you're using Carol's two-handed crossbow. Or if you're using a rune crossbow, you could either use royal bolts if you have 80 range, or if you don't have 80 range, you could always just use rune bolts. For your weapon slot, I recommend Carol's two-handed crossbow if you can afford it. If not, then you could also always use the rune crossbow, or any bow of your choice. This guide isn't limited to only using these weapons or bolts, but this is just kind of a guideline for you guys to use. For your body and legs, you're going to want to use Royal D'hide. For your hands, Royal Vambraces is always nice, or Spiky Vambraces if you prefer. For your feet, Rockshell Gloves are pretty good. They have a little bit of a damage bonus, not too much, but some people might like that. The Grand Exchange mid-price is about 1 to 2k, but I tried buying some and they didn't buy right away. I had to crank it up to see what the insta-buy price was, and it was about 60k. So if you want to drop 60k on these boots, then go ahead. But if not, there's always the Carapace boots, which almost always sell for under 1k, 2k. For the ring slot, if you can afford an archer's ring for 1 mil, I'd say go ahead and do so. But if not, the Tokul Zo is always a good choice. It requires the Elder Kiln quest, or 50,000 Tokul if you've already done it and lost it. And the Elder Kiln quest isn't too hard, so I do recommend getting that done if you haven't already. Because the Tokul Zo is actually a very good ring to have. It gives you 2 armor, which isn't much, but it does give 1.5% crit bonus to every combat style. And you can also teleport to a bank with unlimited charges, so that's really helpful. I believe it's also the closest teleport to any fairy ring as well, so that's really helpful. For the aura slot, it really doesn't matter, it's your choice. You don't even need an aura if you don't want one. But here you see I've put Sharpshooter first, because you can get between 3% to 10% accuracy bonus, depending on the tier you have. And then I also have the Vampirism bonus if you want to get a little bit more health, but you won't really need it if you have a Bunyip or a Unicorn Stallion. Okay, so here you see my recommended high level gear, and for your head slot, you're going to want an Armadillo helmet. For your neck slot, Saradomin's Murmur, or any other necklace if you prefer one over this. For your cape slot, a Completionist cape if you have one. But I'll assume most people don't, so If you have a max cape or a skill cape, those two work pretty good. I actually forgot to mention on the low level gear, but there's a spirit cape for 25,000 engineering tokens that gives 16 armor and plus 1.8% crit to all combat styles. For your bolt slot, you're going to want to use royal bolts, and then for your weapon slot, either a Zarite bow if you can afford one, or a royal crossbow. For your body slot, you're going to want to use an Armadale chestplate, and for the legs, Armadale chain legs. For the hands, you're going to want to use Armadale gloves, and for your feet, you could either use Armadale boots to complete the set, or you could just use Glaven boots. For your ring slot, Archer's Ring, the imbued version, is good. It gives plus 3% bonus to critical, or you could just use the Tockle Zo. And same thing with the auras, either Sharpshooter or Vampirism or whatever you want, it really doesn't matter, it's your choice. So here's what I recommend you to take for your inventory. Depending on how long you want to last will determine how much you should bring, but for each bunyip pouch, they last about 44 minutes each, so that's about 2 hours and 10-15 minutes, I think, if my math serves me correctly. So if you'd like to take 3 bunyip pouches like I have here, then you'd probably want to bring with you at least 4 to 6 prayer renewal flasks, a couple super restore flasks, you probably really only need 2, and then you fill the rest of your inventory space up with monkfish. Monkfish are a really good cheap source of food, and you probably won't be eating that much, if at all, to be honest. I don't eat that much. The only time I ever end up eating is when I need to clear inventory space for when I get a drop. So now that we know everything we need, you're probably wondering, how do we get to the Ascension dungeon? And it's actually pretty easy. If you already have the Ooglog lodestone unlocked, it's literally just to the northwest as soon as you teleport there. But if not, I'll assume you have the Yanil lodestone. If not, Yanil is pretty easy to get to. Just take a look at the world map and you'll be able to find a way to get there. But once you teleport to the Yanil lodestone, just run south down the Fell Dip Hills and you'll eventually reach a wall where you will just head to the west and then you will find the lodestone. Unlock that and then you could head to the northwest and you'll be at the dungeon. So as soon as you enter the dungeon, you're going to want to head to the north, and this first spot here contains the monsters that you're going to want to kill, the Rorarii. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but usually this spot has a couple people teaming up to kill these things, because if you start at this spot here, then they're going to start piling onto you, because any Rorarii that's close to the one you're attacking will start attacking you, so you'll take a lot of piling damage. So the spot I like to go to is just to the north. You cross the bridge here, and then it's your first left that you can take, and that's the spot that I like to go to. There's usually never anybody there, and you can work a nice pattern where you start from the west and then make it to the east and then start over again, so they aren't spawning all over randomly. Here I've mapped out the area you can take if you don't have 70 agility. All you have to do is just follow the red line and I'm sure you'll make it. I believe in you guys. So now it's finally time to start killing some Rorarii. So the first thing you're going to want to do is summon your bunyip pouch, take a sip of your prayer restore, and then start going to town. There's not much else to it than that. If you don't have a proper action bar set up, you can take a look at mine and copy it if you'd like. But other than that, the Rorarii are really easy to kill. Whenever there's a couple together, make sure to use your ricochet ability and also the bombardment threshold ability if you have enough adrenaline for it. And if you do end up using ricochet and you use it too close to the Scutarius, the big guys with the shield, then you're just going to want to run away, because you don't want to attack those guys, as I'm going to explain here in a second. And with these big guys with the shields, I wouldn't bother wasting your time on any of them, because they're really hard to kill. You have to stun them and then run behind them to kill them, and it's really a lot of effort, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. Just stick with the Rorarii. If you do accidentally attack one of them, then just run away. Every once in a while, when you're at the east part of this place that I like to go to, you might notice that one of the other monsters have strayed a little too close and have started healing one of the Rorarii, and they also make it really hard for you to attack them. They'll be healed for about 100 every second, and you won't be able to hit more than 100 on them, so it makes them impossible to kill. The best thing to do is either start attacking the monster that's healing it, or you could just run away, because as long as you're not focused on the Rorarii it's healing, it'll just forget about it and walk away. And now that you know the basics of Ascension Dungeon, I'll tell you about all the noteworthy drops that you'd like to pick up. Their main drop are going to be the Ascension Keystones, which can be anywhere from 500k to 1 mil profit each, and they drop at about 1 in every 64, so that means you're likely to average about 6 keystones an hour. It all depends on luck though. I actually got 3 keys in a row once. That was really cool. They also drop a couple noted things such as maple logs, gold ore, and potatoes with butter. You might want to pick them up if you'd like, but I usually don't like going out of my way to do so when I could take the time to just keep killing more Rorarii and get more keys in trying to get more keys per hour per se. Or Serenic Scale. Serenic Scales are worth about 400k and they're used to make the Serenic armor. However, the Serenic Scales won't light up like the keys will. The keys will actually have a beam coming out of them, so you'll know when you get a drop, but it's always good to right click your drops just to make sure, because sometimes the keys might drop in an awkward spot and the beam won't show up, or you might miss a scale, so it's always good to right click your drops. Also, if you'd like, you could also bring high alch runes and then alch some of the drops such as the runite limbs. They'll also drop journal pages, and I recommend picking these up just so that they stop dropping. As long as you have 2 free inventory slots, you'll be able to pick them up. When you pick one up, it'll automatically add itself to a book, so you don't need multiple inventory slots to pick them up. So I'd just recommend picking them up so they stop dropping. So other than that, there's not too much else I can think of to let you guys know. If you guys have any questions for me, be sure to message me in-game. My in-game name is Sovrakha, the same way it's spelt on my YouTube channel. I also have a Tumblr if you guys would like to check that out. I don't really post all too much, so it's up to you guys if you want to do that, but I'd like to thank you all for watching if you've made it this far, and I hope I taught somebody something today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys make a lot of bank. Alright, thanks for watching.